Hello everyone, and welcome to my first Souls game review video. Before diving in, I want to briefly mention that I completed Elden Ring and its DLC a year ago, so my exact feelings and impressions that I had of the game after completing it are a bit vague, but I'm slowly recollecting them as I'm getting the background footage that you see. Nevertheless, I still decided that with my newfound love and aspiration for these games, I would make reviews about each game and my experiences with them. Now, because Elden Ring is the first Souls game that introduced me to the Souls genre and switched my perspective on them, I have a big soft spot for this game. But I'll try to be as unbiased and grade it fairly against other games that I've played and its counterparts, that being other real Souls games made by From Software. I hope you enjoy. You probably heard this many times, but Elden Ring, the Souls game that took everyone by storm with its addition of the open world to the Souls genre and abundance of things to do in said world. Want to just kill things? Go ahead. Want to talk to NPCs with vague dialogue and struggle to complete their quests, so then you have to look up a YouTube guide to do their quest? You can do that as well! The possibilities with Souls games has never been more vast than with Elden Ring. Furthermore, there is the ever so endless customization that can be done to one's character in terms of both looks and build crafting. Like look, I can either be my strength build, or if I really wanted to, I can go to Renala and use a larval tier to become a mage user. Nah, I'm just joking around though. But the point is, this game really encompasses the aspect of having variety and options. Despite its initial release being an absolute meteor strike in the gaming world and being praised by gamers and critics alike, in all honesty, I never actually cared for this game. That is until summer of 2024, when me and my best friend decided we would give this game a try. However, there's a big difference between me and my friend. Even though we both knew of Souls games at the time, my friend always wanted to play them, but never had the time or money, while I, on the other hand, simply hated them. I never understood why people liked them or what the fuss was about. That is, of course, when I gave it a try. From there onwards, things completely changed. The main focal point of Elden Ring is the gameplay. This was the first time and only time where the feeling of rage and fulfillment occurred at the same time. Prior to Elden Ring, I only mained Destiny 2. The PvE aspect was relaxed and only the PvP angered me, but it was only because the netcoding and overall PvP experience was hot garbage, and it still is. But to truly experience anger in a PvE setting was something noteworthy to me. I don't think these games are intentionally made to make someone rage. I think it's set up in a way where it can make you rage due to the fact that you can't first try the bosses, it's not handed to you, or the fact that it takes time to master the patterns or the skill or really anything in order to get over the trial and error process. This alone made me slowly fall in love with the game. It's not simply a hack and slash, just how like God of War is, which is another game series that I've played and generally enjoyed, but it just didn't hit the same way that Elden Ring did. All of this only accelerated when I defeated my first boss, Margit. I still cannot for the life of me pronounce him. Yeah, I think that's... But anyways, God was he fucking annoying, but when I defeated that piece of shit, oh my god did I feel good. Once I defeated him, I went on to the next area, Stormville Castle. Godric was an absolute pain to fight, mainly because I was underleveled and never beat him my first time around. So after a few tries of bashing my head against the wall, I decided to give up and go do other things around the world. And I wholeheartedly agree that the get good motto is still very much alive in Souls games, which is, at first made me a bit annoyed, but over time I evolved to liking the idea of trying to do better and overcoming the obstacle. So the difficulty for a newcomer wasn't a big problem, at least for me, but for those that say that games need difficulty sliders or options, cry me a river. Having one difficulty, in my opinion, is the most balanced way for anything, since it allows FromSoft to really focus on one base level and go forth from there. Now you can argue that because there is already the base level and New Game Plus versions, in a way there already are difficulty sliders, which is true, but the New Game Plus versions are just slightly tweaked versions of the base version of the game, if that's So they barely changed the game. Besides giving bosses more health and increasing the amount of runes dropped, nothing of note changes. There aren't any extra modifiers or additional things that get tacked on, which is what other games love to do. And although people could argue that this could make the replayability boring and repetitive, it sticks to the true core gameplay and it doesn't stray away from it. Furthermore, when things are kept the same, people can memorize where certain things spawn and are placed, allowing them to seamlessly replay the game at a much faster pace since they know where things are and they know how to get the other endings at a much quicker pace. Which in my opinion, I think is a far better solution since no other variables are being added to confuse the player. Circling back, after I left Godric to level up, this is where the beauty of an open world game really shines, but also acts as a double-edged sword. It allows the player to do anything they'd like, that is if they meet the air quotes requirements, or basically the level and skill in order to be there. But either way, anyone has the ability to explore and find quests to then get better rewards. All this combines into a really nice experience that doesn't feel linear, even though in a sense it still is, because of the soft restrictions which the game imposes. So as I set out on my adventure for better gear and leveling up my character, I stumbled across Caelid, and holy fuck is this place ever terrifying. If I remember correctly, there were 2 reasons why I went there. 1, to complete my map, and 2, to get the greatsword. Now before you non-strength users comment, "Oh, here's another strength user, boohoo," there's only one reason, and one reason only, for why I went for this weapon. Berserk. I'm a huge Berserk fan, and I've liked this series way before I liked the Souls series. So when I found out that certain enemies and items in this game, including the greatsword, are based off Berserk, I had to go get it and make a build out of it. However, like I said before, being in an open world can also be a double-edged sword. The second I stepped foot into Caelid as a level, I think it was 20 or 25 shitter, I was going to get murked by everything, and I did. After narrowly escaping and wanting to quit on many different occasions, I was able to retrieve the greatsword and actually progress through the game with the build that I wanted. I continued to play the game until I finished it, which then allowed me to move on onto the DLC. Now, around the time that I started, the DLC was also stated to be releasing soon. So it was perfect timing in completing the game and being able to play the DLC right afterwards. I do have a little flex in terms of what I was able to accomplish, that is being able to beat pre-patch Console Radon. Though the first time around, it was with the poke build, and on my new game Plus, I defeated him with my regular build. This is also where I also begin to talk about the combat. God damn, does this game feel like bread and butter once you find out what you like and you become the master of the blade while using a 10-year-old controller. But in all seriousness, this game just feels so nice to just play. Like I said before, my only experience with melee or fighting based games is limited to God of War, so this is a huge change of pace and polishment. The combat doesn't try to be too realistic nor too fantasy-esque. The best way to describe it is grounded. If you miss a hit or a dodge, that's your fault. The only reason why the bosses punish you is because you either fucked up or because you haven't learned their moveset, therefore meaning you still fucked up. And it's not like they reuse the same bosses in a new area, which then makes the game feel stale, though they do reuse some for smaller and optional activities, but that's besides the point. Each boss has its own mechanic and moveset, which sets them apart, which is rarely seen, especially in most AAA games, at least from what I can remember, which is why this game's combat, enemy variety, and boss fights feel so good, even when there are repeats of the same enemy or boss but slightly changed in color or in name. And on a topic of feel of the game, even with a 10-year-old controller, this game feels good. Like, my controller is falling apart, but I'm still able to shot on bosses and enjoy the game. Although initially vague, the little lights of grace I think is a good way to indicate which way a player is supposed to go. It's not too intrusive to the gameplay experience since it doesn't force the player to go there, but it does get the job done of suggesting where players should go if they're ever confused. There isn't much to talk about in regards to the character progression or leveling besides the fact of not knowing what each skill does to your character. At first, I didn't know what endurance, faith, or anything else did besides vigor. It's mainly because it's not explained in the game, and all the Souls games follow the same table formula of skills, but they either change the names or add or remove some to see which best fits the game. As for world progression or world building, well, here's what I World building in Elden Ring and in other Souls games I think is top notch. Well, I think every aspect in every Souls game is the best and top notch, but that's just me being biased. But it's kinda true, it's not like they win Game of the Year in every category for no reason, you know? The map design in this game is just a thing of beauty. Even though Bungie made Destiny look and feel good, From Software is just on another level. There's just something that they did right with Elden Ring, where it makes the world of the game feel like you're actually there. I'm not sure if any of you had seen those TikToks or Instagram reels pop up on your feed, where it's some AI-generated dark fantasy worlds that make you feel nostalgic for something that never existed. Elden Ring gives off that very same feeling. It could occur when you're exploring the bright and peaceful Limgrave, or stopping by the snowy mountaintops of the Giants, or the hell place that Caelid is. All these invoke a sense of home. From Software also rewards players for exploring the world more than the necessary amount, especially with the new open world aspect. For example, there are random weapons that can be found scattered around, like my greatsword, which can prove to be quite potent. There are also secret and optional mini bosses that I talked about before that players can find and get good weapons and armor from them as well. From Software not only excels in world building, but also in their graphics and art direction. Now let's be honest, their graphic fidelity isn't the best, but it's up there for sure. It's not bad to the point where it makes the game look bad, but it's not Sony level. However, trying to be as realistic as possible does take a toll on the game, since it requires more funding and effort into something that can get away with less effort spent, which is why I think From Software's graphic fidelity works so well, since it keeps costs down and development time shorter. But let me just say this, their art direction is absolute gold. Don't get me wrong, their graphics are amazing in their own right, but the art style is just something else, and especially in their older games. And Elden Ring carries that idea to the max. Since this is their biggest project, and I would imagine their most budgeted, it allowed them to put in the most amount of effort, and to be honest, it paid off big time. Crawling out of the shady and crumbling, stranded graveyard and exiting into the unknown presented the bright and lively place called Limgrave. These series of events was just something else. Though not everything is sunshine and rainbows, because From Software has been known to poorly optimize their games, and I've experienced it firsthand, especially during the consort Radahn fight. No matter what graphic option you chose, one of Radahn's attacks would absolutely destroy people's frames, including mine. Thankfully, that has been the only major problem that I've encountered through my entire time playing Elden Ring. This is a rather quick entry, but Elden Ring has among some of the best soundtracks. The only thing that tops Elden Ring for me is Destiny. It could be my nostalgia, but there are just some songs that speak absolutely far more than just words, like Remembrance from Taken King, Deepstone Lullaby from Beyond Light, and much more. Elden Ring's audio is also quite spot on and further captures the player's attention into the game. Although the lore in Souls games is very rich and deep, I haven't delved too deep into Elden Ring's lore. Besides the more basic things like knowing that the Elden Beast is a god and controls over the plains and some other known details, I know very little, and it's due to the fact that I would forget to watch lore videos. There have been times when I wanted to sit down and watch it, but I would either forget to pull it up or just wouldn't have the time. Hopefully I have more time to watch some lore videos to really understand what's going on in the world of Elden Ring, but for now, I'll have to leave this section quite bleak since I can't properly speak on it. Elden Ring has not only been a wonderful experience, but also a wonderful introduction to the Souls genre. It was also the game that really opened my eyes to the wonderful studio From Software and the President Miyazaki, the creator of the Souls genre and the amazing games that they put out. Since playing Elden Ring, it's now a goal of mine to play every Souls game, and Elden Ring is the first one that I finished. However, my goal isn't just to play through them all, it's also to get 100% on them in terms of both achievements and getting every item, weapon, ending, etc., that type of thing. As for my grade, although I'm biased and this was my first Souls game, I have to give Elden Ring an S. Now that this video is coming to a close, I'm preparing to die inside all the while starting a new Souls game. Wait, preparing to die inside? I feel like I've heard that somewhere. If only I could pinpoint to what I'm thinking, maybe it was a remaster of another game that I've been thinking of playing?